Thank you everyone for taking time off your busy schedules to hear us speak about the AI-powered cybersecurity automation. I'm Hunter, the Apex CTO for Rich Security. So I cover the go-to-market solutioning and delivery of Rich Security services across the Asia Pacific region. So I was reading, before I start, actually I was reading this book this time around. It's known as Focus on the Problem, Not on the Solution, right? So having said that, the problem statement I like to call out prior to the presentation is one of the things that we as cybersecurity professionals always face, being the cybersecurity supply gap. Yeah. So being in the cybersecurity scene for more than 20 years now, I'm sure myself and you find it very hard to hire, maintain, and train cybersecurity professionals, right? So just a personal story before we start with the data is, in one of my previous jobs, I was the head of cybersecurity services, heading a pen test and red team capability. We had close to 20 personnels or 20 team members strong within the offensive cybersecurity team. However, cybersecurity demand being extremely high, it's very hard to continuously train and maintain these security professionals. They were here with me in that prior organization close to 1 year plus 2 years, and then a lot of them have left the organization, and then we had to train new joiners and maintain the team again. So cybersecurity skill gap is one of the key issues we face, especially for security consultants, penetration testers, technical staff, teams working in the SOC, Cybersecurity Operations Center, right? And why we see this gap is because I think the overall demand for cybersecurity professionals has increased tremendously, not only from the end users, but from SIs, MSSPs, GSIs, and from security principals ourselves as well. So there are many different types of organizations hiring cybersecurity professionals, and cybersecurity issues being on the rise has triggered a lot of new regulatory requirements over here in Asia Pacific. Like for example, in Australia, a new cybersecurity law was also recently passed, which mandates additional requirements for cybersecurity hygiene. Having said that, I want to bring our attention to the cybersecurity gap in professionals since 2019. So this is a source of a study from IC Squared. IC Squared, like all of us know, is the organizations with the CSSPs, ISSMPs, ISSAPs, right? So a very large cybersecurity body. They came up with the workforce study in 2022, identifying cybersecurity gaps across the region. So what I want to highlight here, like in Europe, right? In Europe, there's close to a 200,000 gap. Globally is a 2.72 million gap, and in Latin America, close to 700,000 gap in cybersecurity professionals. So the gap is across everywhere, not only in Latin America, Europe, North America, and Asia Pacific itself. So there will be a global gap in terms of supply of security professionals. The demand always exceeds the supply. So this is clearly, we can see in, when we talk to our friends, our acquaintances in cybersecurity workforce, the managers, the team leaders find it very hard to hire, maintain, and train security professionals as well. So closely linked to this study is a very interesting topic highlighted by IC Squared, where they speak about the technology components. The technology components investment to overcome the gap in cybersecurity skills and supply shortage. So obviously there are multiple components, right? Ranging from usage of cloud services. This includes like security as a service, increased use of intelligence and automation. There's a DevSecOps, security as a security as a software as a service, freeing up cybersecurity professional to focus on high value activities, use of contractors. But the key 3 items I like to call out from this study, which closely relates to our topic of discussion today, is the use of intelligence and automation. Use of intelligence and automation mainly in 3 areas. So first, the study calls out the use of intelligence and automation for manual cybersecurity tasks. Use of intelligence and automation for existing processes, and use of intelligence and automation as part of the solution selection criteria, means the vendor selection and evaluation, product evaluation methodology. So as a cybersecurity professional, we ourselves have seen the development of cybersecurity tools and technology across the last decade, right? So more and more tools, tech, are using the AI component, using the artificial intelligence and security automation component to digest much more data, to perform automated tasks, and to reduce the dependency on manual human effort, and use technology to somehow complement the services that we provide. So AI is there as a complement to work together to make our lives easier when delivering cybersecurity tasks. We are not saying it's a total substitute. So there's still need for obviously the human beings to deliver these cybersecurity services with the use of security technology, right? So before I move on, I like to do a short poll. If you have your mobile devices with you, can you use your mobile device to scan this QR code over here? In the QR code, you'll be able to open up your Slido link and then help answer this quick poll, right? The quick poll is asking about whether you agree with the results of the IC squared survey. Do you agree with the results of IC squared survey? So on the far right, we have agree. The far left is disagree. Having said that, maybe you can just kind of use your mobile phone, just scan the QR code, and then it will automatically open the Slido for you to participate in this survey as well. So I'm taking count. So far, we have 1 neutral, 1 agree. So far, we have 1 neutral, 1 agree with the results. The result says that there's a cybersecurity skill shortage and supply gap is across the globe. So all the way from North America, EMEA, Latin America, and Asia Pacific as well. I'll just give it a little bit more time for us to take part in the survey. But if there's no further response, then I will just continue. So far, the survey results is leaning towards, and the participant feedback is leaning towards more agree than disagree. So thank you very much for taking part in the survey. For those who have already opened the survey, you can just keep your windows open because there's additional 2 polls that we'll be doing for the rest of the webinar. So I hope you will be able to take part and participate in this survey. Let's continue to speak about the topic on hand, right? The topic on hand closely linked to the IC Squared survey on the technology investments used to address the gap is AI and security automation. So we call out a few key things that AI is able to deliver. First and foremost, AI is able to learn more over time, right? AI is able to learn more over time. AI can handle a lot of data. This is especially true when we are referring to telemetry and correlation of security incidents. So in the traditional SOC SIM space, most of the next-gen tools have already deployed AI to make use of different data points, correlate the information, and make sense of various security events to determine whether it is an incident. Some of the other tools in this space, like for example, user behavior analytics. User behavior analytics, UBA, also is a form of artificial intelligence where it's used to digest and learn about the patterns and behaviors of individuals within the organization. So those are the 2 key items that I wanted to talk about. The number 3, the third benefit of AI obviously is to take automated action. So this automated action is not traditionally logic programming. This automated action is based on the learning capability and the AI brain, which will be able to prioritize, synchronize and deliver the respective tasks in a much more efficient manner. Item number 4, we speak about AI being able to yield consistent results. AI being able to yield consistent results. So why we mention that is because AI is not affected by emotions. Unlike humans, humans are affected by emotions, right? So, sometimes even experienced staff, they have a good day and a bad day. Different when you're on a bad day, sometimes your results, your performance will be affected. However, with AI, the AI is built based on a certain algorithm, machine learning. It yields consistent results over time, right? So this is especially true when we are looking at a team of a very large security professionals. A large security professional team required to do some form of pen test, for example. So different of security professionals, they have different expertise, they have different skills. Even the expert ones, they have different days, so their performance varies. Some may be better, some may be worse, but the results in terms of consistency cannot be guaranteed as opposed to one which is delivered by AI. Last but not least, we speak about the 5th benefit, which talks about duplicated processes being reduced. So duplicated processes, unnecessary processes which waste a lot of time, effort, and which are mundane, right? All of those can be eliminated using AI to substitute the repetitive tasks, to substitute the tasks which can be somehow automated and allow the cybersecurity professionals, the humans, in this case, to focus on more high value activities. So these are some of the 5 key benefits, agility and responsiveness of AI. I'd like to hear from you as well, right? If you were to rank this, how would you rank these benefits stated? How would you rank these benefits stated? In no particular order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you take part in the survey, you can adjust or prioritize the respective items in terms of ranking. So if you can, for those who have participated, I hope you can take part and scan the QR code to let us know. Let us know how would you rank these benefits? How would you rank these benefits? So taking the lead is duplicated processes reduce, followed by taking automated action. Thank you very much. Duplicated processes reduce still tops it. AI being able to handle a lot of data is on the number 5. Consistent result number 4, and there's some change. AI learns more over time. Thank you, fellow participants, for taking part in the survey. So it's good to know. It's good to know for those who are taking part, you can still continue, but it's good to know that duplicated processes reduce is one of the key benefits that, you know, us as security professionals like to see as well, because I think in manual security operations or offensive security red teams or SOC, there are a number of security processes which perhaps can be eliminated or can be optimized. So having a reduction in duplicated processes will yield a lot of effort in terms of time saved and energy, right? Because it's not only time, our energy is also a precious resource. What does the future hold for AI and cybersec? So having spoke about the 5 benefits that AI yields, I like to bring your attention to this Gartner use case prism for cybersecurity. I'm not too sure whether any one of you have seen this. If you have seen this, you can put a thumbs up on your Zoom. You can put a thumbs up on your Zoom so that I know whether you have seen this before. But to bring us back to this topic over here, there's 2 axes in the AI use case for cybersecurity. Under the AI use case prism, there's one on business value, meaning how much benefit will that particular technology yield in the future if it's being deployed. And on the other side of the fence is feasibility. Feasibility meaning how pragmatic are these solutions? How pragmatic is it to implement it, to run it, and to operate it in your organization? So we talk about different technology categories here. So you have security, posture, and risk scoring. You have business data risk classification, identity proofing, adaptive runtime and access entitlement, abnormal system behavior detection. There is transaction fraud detection, file-based malware detection, text-based malicious intent detection, web content visualization analysis, and hazard intelligence. So there's many different categories of AI use case for cybersecurity in many different areas. All this met back with the benefits that we've seen earlier, being able to process much more data, able to learn over time, able to yield consistent results, right? So all these are tied with the benefits of AI, being able to apply it in the cybersecurity context. For the topic of discussion today, we are going to speak about this key technology discipline, which is the security automation and tasks, which is the security operations task automation. So under the security operation task automation, the business value is, quite, I would say, quite palatable, and the feasibility is close to high as well. So having said that, security automation and tasks, security operation task automation is one of the key areas where a lot of organizations are investing, from all the way from your SOC SIEM, your EDR, XDR, to even offensive and defensive security stages, right? So in this MIT study on the implications of artificial intelligence for cybersecurity, we talk about 2 different components. There is the offensive cybersecurity side, your prepare, engage, maintain, persistent, achieve, affect, and assess damages. So that is the cybersecurity kill chain. And on the other side of the fence, there's the defense stages. So the defense stages follows the NIST-CSF cybersecurity framework. We talk about identify, protect, detect, respond, and then recover. So let me speak about the AI component for the defense side first, right? Under the defense side, under the identify and reconnaissance, AI is able to deliver predictive analysis, meaning able to monitor and anticipate threat. So monitor and anticipate threat using various sort of threat intelligence. You have open source intelligence, you have proprietary intelligence, operational level intelligence, strategic intelligence. So using all these different form of intelligence information to be able to identify and predict threats which will be coming to organizations of similar industry or even similar geographical area. So that is some of the examples of the use of AI. How about within the protect space? Within the protect space, by deploying AI to cluster and classify, right? Cluster and classify vulnerabilities. So the AI engine will be able to prioritize, classify vulnerabilities based on what it has seen so far and map this down with available public exploits. So let's say if there's an available public exploit, the priority of remediation is much higher. So that is the use case within the protect space. Within the detect space is very prevalent across the next-gen SIEMs, next-gen EDRs, XDRs. So with the use of AI is able to handle a lot of data and categorize, detect these attacks. Reason being is because when we look at data points, right, especially for SOC SIEM, there are multiple different types of log sources. So AI being the engine which will correlate, make use cases, have telemetry information of all these different data points to make an informed decision whether that particular event is and can categorize as an incident. Last but not least, we talk about the recovery stage where there is also a recommendation engine with NLP, which will allow for teams without human interaction to enact the solution. So those are some of the different use cases you see AI has already been in place when it comes to cybersecurity technology tool sets, right? So within the defense stage, how about the offense stage? Have we thought about using AI within the offensive space? So within the offensive space, there is a high possibility to deploy and make use of AI and security automation as well. So allow me to go to the next page where I speak about the AI attack path via AI, right? The attack path via AI. So what AI does is a technology which simulates human thoughts in terms of penetration testing. It builds an iterative attack model, make use of different various data points and information produced during the attack to establish continuative iterative attack capability, and then mapping and joining this vulnerability information to build a dimensional attack and report. So if you look at it, how do we deploy AI in offensive cybersecurity? First and foremost, we have the knowledge set. AI will be able to make this decision, prioritize different jobs, right? So the AI engine, very similar to pen test. First and foremost, you have the asset detection, then you have the attack surface identification, continue with the vulnerability detection by launching vulnerability assessments and then doing the exploitation. So a typical pen test cycle will go through that stages. However, if we make use of AI, why not just having a target? AI will do the rest of the activities from all the way from asset detection to exploitation and generating the result of extracting the knowledge set and feeding it back into the system. That is what we call, what we term as the AI bots doing iterative attacks and decision making. So with that, I bring your attention to the Security Operation Hype Cycle 2022 by Gartner. So all of us are familiar with the Gartner Magic Quadrant. Gartner Magic Quadrant is there for mature solutions which are out in the market available to compare. But then if you look at Security Operation Hype Cycle, security operation looks at many different technologies which are a little bit newer and out there, right? So vulnerability assessment tools has been around for ages, right? So it has been around for more than 15 years already, VA tools. It has kind of reached a plateau. So what other tools are there which is being called out? You have MDR services, XDR here, which is on the right, which is on the peak. You have pen test as a service, and what we have today under Rich Security is the automated penetration testing and red teaming tool. So when we mention red teaming tool, it's not an entire substitute of the red team capabilities. It's a complement to the red team. It's a complement to a red team by having a tool automatically identifying your initial attack vectors. And then the red team can then continue to take the next step and bring it forward, exfiltrating data from the organization. So our brand, our company is called out here, Rich Security, under the automated penetration testing and red teaming capability, being recognized as Gartner as one of the key players within the automated penetration testing tool space. How does Rich Security does it? So with Rich Security, our tool is able to identify not only vulnerabilities, but vulnerabilities which are real and true positive. It's automatically exploited to be identified as what we know as a risk, because risk, a threat trigger vulnerabilities in your critical asset, that is what we term as a risk. So the threat can be either triggered by the external adversary, the attacker, the threat actor, or even malware. So malware can make use of different vulnerabilities to launch an attack. Before I go on, I like to do one last poll, right? One last poll today is to check with you, fellow audience, what is your understanding in terms of the differences of VA and PT, right? So when I do my presentations, this is one of the key usual questions that we ask, is about the differences between a vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. All right, we have one item listed over there. One item listed over there, exploit. VA is blue team and pentest is red team. Vulnerabilities. So I'll leave. I think that's just the joining code 3579681. That's the joining code. You don't have to put in the code. You can put in your answer, right? So VA is red, blue team, and PT is red team. I would have a little bit of a different opinion in that space, because it may be performed by the blue team. It may be performed by the blue team, but not always necessarily the case, right? Because VA is a predecessor of pen test. Before you do a pen test, you always need to do a VA first in terms of the scope, right? So exploit, how often is it executed, is being called out as well. You know, when I launched this survey, there's a very different and various results. So some of my participants will say that VA is more straightforward, PT is a little bit more complicated, PT you need skill, PT is dangerous. PT is more expensive. VA is cheaper in terms of a service, right? So those are some of the answers that have came back so far. There's one new response here which speaks about the velocity. I'm not too sure in what context is that mentioned, right? But for items which are being called out by multiple parties, actually technically the font should be bigger. So if we have something which is called out by two same parties, the font should be bigger. So I think the only similar item here, reason being is because it's not exactly the same is, yeah, it's changed a little bit. So we talk about it's not exactly the same is the scope. Okay, the scope can be different or can be the same, right? The scope can be different or the same. You can do VA on 20 servers, 5 web applications. You can do PT on the same 20 servers, 5 applications. But then sometimes due to time and effort, PT, they might choose to deliver it only for the critical application. So, all right, so we have cost here, and I like to bring us out to one of the key items which was highlighted twice earlier. Somehow, I don't know why it's not appearing on the screen, but the key technical difference of a VA and PT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, is that actually the exploit, right? So doing a VA is like knocking on the door to check whether the door is weak, is it locked? But doing an exploit is breaking the door itself, breaking the door, your main door, and then to go through the different rooms to identify the crown jewels within the environment. So technically, exploit is the key difference. With an exploit, you are able to eliminate false positive. So let me share with you in a nutshell, traditionally how pen test is done, and then what we are able to automate. So let's look at this cycle as a manual pen test. You know, if I want to identify which devices are in your organization, I'll bring my laptop, most probably built in with Kali Linux or some hacker OS. So I'll do a ping sweep, I'll do a port scan, identify how many IP addresses are up. I'll do a port scan, identify whether you're running Linux, Windows, or Mac. I'll do some fingerprinting, see what ports are open, see what version is it running. After I do my attack surface identification, then I'll do my vulnerability scanning using another tool set, like for example, Nessus, Nexpose, Qualys. Those are different tool sets used to identify vulnerabilities. With the vulnerability assessment, I will be able to determine whether you have not patched your Microsoft, Apple or Linux machine. Microsoft, for example, is Patch Tuesdays, so the vulnerability scanning tool will be able to identify the missing CVE and the missing patch number. So happen if the CVE is exploitable, I will go and do my research in ExploitDB and launch attacks to the particular target. Launch attacks, if I'm very good, I'll be able to write a script. Alternatively, I can use commercial exploit tools. Commercial exploit tools such as Metasploit, Core Impact, these are commercial exploit tools. So we use those tools to launch attacks in the environment to break down the system. After we break down and launch the payload, usually we'll get a reverse shell, right? So with a reverse shell on my machine, off the target machine, technically we are able to do a lot of stuff. With a reverse shell command line, we are able to start, stop services, copy files, create users, add users, delete users, and even exfiltrate information using a command shell. Last but not least, there's the lateral movement using usually the pen test would stop here, but then if you're doing a red team exercise, the red team exercise would also involve the lateral movement activities, either horizontal or vertical, right? So with that, if you have already understand how the normal pen test cycle is done, Now with RichBot, we are able to automate the entire flow from attack surface identification, vulnerability scanning, launching the exploits, doing lateral movement, and generating the pen test report with cyber kill chain, right? So this is your traditional tool sets, your VA tools, your exploit tools, your penetration testers. Some of these, they cause result in terms of gap of time and gap in resources coverage, because with manual penetration testing, you only have 6 or a set amount of time required for you to complete the particular project, right? So what we are doing with RichBot solution is we collapse these 3 stack, the scanner, the exploit tools, the pen testers. We collapse these entire 3 stack into one solution known as RichBot, with built-in security automation and artificial intelligence. With that, we are able to deliver more consistent results at a higher efficient space, and also allow organizations to build their own red team. So please take note of the keyword here is build. We are not here to replace, right? So the individuals in the red team can use our tool to launch and identify initial attack vectors. Thereafter, the red team will go on and do their tasks. So our solution, the RichBot, can be deployed on-premise or on a virtual on-premise on a virtual machine or on a bare metal server. It is a very graphical user interface like. So once the RichBot is deployed, it's actually on a virtual appliances which is already hardened. So you are not able to install this on your, your Windows, your Linux laptop or servers. It's a virtual appliance that we have built, allowing for stronger security and better detection and also authentication. So with RichBot is enterprise-grade penetration testing capability. It is one-to-many users. So as opposed to manual pen testers, they buy one license and then they can use it on their machine. With RichBot in place, you can have different pen testers assessing RichBot and doing the particular task it is supposed to do, right? So there's the graphical user interface here. You are able to schedule or start the test right away. Automated testing and generation is delivered. And last but not least, stage number 5 is to review and download the risk report. Review and download the risk report. This is some of the sample interfaces of our tool. So you have on the left-hand side here is a SQL injection attack. So the database is MySQL 5.5.64, right? 5.5.64 MariaDB, right? So if you look at this screen over here, it's already confirmed that we have successfully launched the SQL injection attack because we have already dumped out the database schema. So you see under the database schema, there is a steward. So with the automated solution, it generates the report. And then over on the other side is the cyber kill chain. So you can see the cyber kill chain on the right-hand side. It's automatically generated from the tool as well with suggestions of remediation effort. So if you look at the cyber kill chain sequence over here, starting from being able to ping the target, we've found the target is alive. We did the scan to identify the attack surface. We found a page which is vulnerable. That's the URL link. Once the page is vulnerable, we found the MySQL database running with a weak password vulnerability, and then using the weak password, exploit the database and obtain the rights to it. So that is the cyber kill chain automatically generated as part of the tool in action. RichBot, our report delivers real-time reports on the fly. So besides vulnerability information, anything that is successfully exploited, any information that is successfully exploited is a true positive, right? It is a true positive because remember the analogy I mentioned earlier about checking whether the door is locked and breaking the door. So with exploits, RichBot has already successfully broken into the system. So if you look at the task summary over here, this is a dashboard of all the activities that the RichBot AI and security automation solution delivers. So there are multiple jobs. We call these mini tasks or mini jobs, which is run. So there's scanning job, there's discovery job, there's exploit job. Just for these 3 IPs over here, it's running close to 48,000 different types of jobs, right? 48,000 different types of job for these 3 IPs. And out of these 48,000 jobs, we identified 125 plus or so vulnerabilities. Out of 125, 34 of these are exploitable. So that's within a 3 to 5 range. Even Gartner mentioned most only close to 3 to 5% of vulnerabilities can be exploited. So why should we focus on the other vulnerabilities, right? There's too much for data center administrators, DB administrators, operating system, OS admins to handle if there's a very thick and lengthy report. So we focus on items which we can exploit, because what RichBot can exploit, any threat actor, adversary group, malware will be able to exploit as well. So focus on the key. Once you have identified, run the exploit tool, focus on those key ones. With that, RichBot, some of the benefits we like to call out is helping CISO understand and comprehend the overall cyber risk, because we look at not only vulnerability assessments, but vulnerabilities which can be exploited. Item number 2 and item number 3, we speak about assisting the security team pinpointing the critical tasks and also addressing the problem with resource skill shortage. So going back to the talk earlier, under the AI Prism for cybersecurity use cases, we see multiple different type of technology which will be able to use AI. And RichBot is one of those security solutions, because under our capability, we will be able to do penetration testing on demand and on the fly. No longer would an organization need to engage and wait for a third party. So again, we are not saying that the third party is no longer required, but then now within your own hands, you have capability to run a pen test on demand, which closely ties into the point number 4 on continuous assessment of the risk posture. So under DevOps and DevSecOps, you have your 2-week sprint cycle. Every release, you want to have it tested prior to go live. So what other way can allow you to deliver these types of tests than having an automated penetration testing solution with you within the organization enterprise? I like to close off with some of the customer reference that are open and referenceable. So like many different cybersecurity solutions, most of the investors are usually these 3 areas, right? You have your financial services institute, your telcos, your government, your healthcare, and also service providers. So these are some of the referenceable clients we have across the region, and also some of these are from the Asia Pacific. With that, I like to take the time to thank you again for attending the conference, the webinar we have today on AI-powered cybersecurity solution. I'm Hunter. That is my LinkedIn. If you like to connect, I'm able to connect over LinkedIn as well. So before we close off, I think it's just a good time now to open to the floor. If you have any questions with regards to what we have spoke about today, if you have any questions with regards to what we have spoke about today.